going to welcome our next speaker. Her name is Zeina AlHashmi, and she is the Manager of Sustainability and Assurance in our very own Expo city, Dubai. A bit about Zeina. Zeina is a passionate sustainability specialist and an active environmentalist with a chemical engineering background. She began her career as an environmental advisor, talking complex issues such as industrial waste management, recycling, decarbonization, ESG reporting, and environmental compliance. As her experience grew, she did the passion for sustainability, and since then she has progressed to focus on developing ESG strategies, and that's where she is trying to come up with the improvements in the sustainability with this Expo 2020 Dubai project as well. So please welcome Zeina, and we would love to hear from her.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad I got the after lunch hour. Now I have little of your attention as possible, so that's fine. If I say anything wrong, please feel free to correct me. My name is Zeina AlHashmi. I'm just going to give a bit of a brief about myself. I know you did a very great introduction, so thank you. But for those of you who don't know me, I've been working in the sustainability performance aspect and field for a little over 12 years now. I started my career in ADNOC. I was focusing on environmental compliance and reporting, and made my way up into a more strategic role where we embedded sustainability into our corporate performance and KPI. I also had the pleasure of working with all the operating companies that went public, developing their ESG readiness, and still maintaining a focus on external disclosures. I now work with Expo City Dubai as a sustainability manager. I had the reporting, communication, and engagement, trying to elevate that sustainability narrative into the new city through hands-on changes in operations as well as marketing campaigns. So really, maybe we can go. It's an honor for me to be here today, sharing insights into the evolving landscape of environment, social, and governance practices in the Middle East with a specific focus on the UAE. And as we explore the progress, the challenges, and opportunities, it's very important to highlight that ESG is not a trend. It's more of an intrinsic part of the sustainable economic growth, and I'm sure you've already established that at the very half of this session. So just to wake you guys up after lunch, I'm going to start with a question. Among environment, social, and governance, which factor typically carries the most weight according to most rating agencies? And I know we're a bit big of a group here, so maybe you throw a show of hands. Who here thinks it's the environmental pillar? Yeah? You can look at each other so that everyone knows how many people raised their hands. Environment pillar, one more time. Okay, who thinks it's the social? No one? Or one? Who thinks it's the governance? Okay, good. So that's typically usually the answer. There's a kind of equal weightage between environment and governance, but that's actually not true. It is. Yeah, that's true. But from a rating agency perspective, they bucket them into environment, social, and governance, and they give each one of them a weight. And the answer is actually governance. Governance is ranked the highest or the most weighted with a rating agency. And this is because with strong governance, we have to have an act of a foundation of environmental and social practices. And governance actually ensures that decision-making is ethical, transparent, and aligned with long-term goals. Without robust governance, achieving success in environmental and social initiatives actually becomes very hard. Rating agencies prioritize governance as it directly influences a company's risk management, compliance, and overall resilience. So it sets the tone for corporate culture, leadership, and accountability. Key elements that impact long-term sustainability and financial performance. So really, making governance a critical starting point for an overall ESG success. So is everyone aligned with the point that governance is the most weighted? Here's another question. If we were to identify one individual who founded strong governance or embodied it in the UAE, who comes to mind? Sure, yeah. Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid. Anyone else? Okay, great. Perfect. Anyone else? Anyone else comes to mind? Strong governance in the UAE? No one comes to mind? Really? Anyone wants to have a shot? Okay, no one. Actually, I'm super surprised. This one, people usually get this answer pretty often. Sheikh Zayed, how well, I'm born and raised in the UAE, so this for me is like natural. I'm not sure if any of you have a very long history with the UAE, but Sheikh Zayed was the founder of the UAE. And he left a legacy filled with wisdom and forward thinking vision. And among most of his impactful quotes, this is the one that resonates the most. And he says, "Grant me agriculture and I shall grant civilization for you." And in just a few words, Sheikh Zayed was able to do the profound connection between environmental, sustainability, and social development. This statement was groundbreaking because at the time, the UAE was a desert. So, symbolizing his ambitious vision for the long term environmental resilience and prosperity, it's a testament for his foresight and determination that shaped the UAE today and making it the thriving nation. So, really, very, very, very long before sustainability and ESG became a buzzword, the UAE had already laid the groundwork for strong governance and what we recognize today. His legacy is still celebrated, not as a historical milestone, but as an ongoing inspiration that shapes the UAE's path forward. I hope I gave you a very good introduction about Sheikh Zayed. Now that we set the tone on this governance, let's look at the progress. And here is a few key highlights of the UAE's significant progress against ESG landscape and reporting. And I'm sure most of you have already kind of covered that at the beginning of this session. But I'm going to give a bit of a highlight. There's policy and frameworks, forward-thinking policies, the UAE environmental policy, the UAE net zero strategy by 2050, the first of its kind in the MENA region. Abu Dhabi Global Market has developed a sustainable finance framework, encouraging companies to integrate ESG factors. Initiatives like the Dubai Sustainable Finance Working Group, if you haven't heard of it, actually actively promotes ESG best practices and helps to develop sustainable financial products. We have financial institutes, some of which are present today, I think. The UAE's banking sector played a crucial role in sustainable finance. We have the likes of FAB and Emirates NBD that have mobilized efforts for green fund of projects, integrating ESG into their lending practices. The UAE Banks Federation actually pledged 1 trillion dirhams for sustainable finance by 2030. Banks are increasing the transparency of TCFD disclosures to provide climate risks an opportunity. We also have the stock exchange. Dubai Financial Market have taken proactive steps to promote ESG by encouraging listed entities to disclose. We also have ADX, so Abu Dhabi Security Exchange introduced a dedicated reporting guide to help companies meet international standards. Collaboration culture, something that the UAE is very well known for, where they support startups, organizations, and ESG-related ideas through grants, incubators, and government-backed programs. I don't know if you've heard about this, but this is very recent. Dubai Chamber of Commerce, they've recently launched an ESG label. So when they first started, it was called the CSR label. And now as we move forward, when the sustainability narrative kind of hyperactive, this label has now been called an ESG label. And just last month, 27 companies were awarded this label for the first time. Challenges. This is kind of my favorite part, so I'm going to dwell on this a little. One of the key challenges of ESG, and for those of you who haven't been in the country for very long, was the fact that the ESG adoption in the UAE lies in a cultural approach to transparency. So historically, the UAE has fostered governance model built on trust and leadership that still exists, where these decisions and strategies have been carefully crafted with confidence and leadership's ability to act in the best interest of the nation. And actually, this is not a very common practice worldwide. While data information is available, public disclosures of this information has not widely been accepted. Instead, anything that is external focused, anything that is reporting towards the public, was always about showcasing achievement. But the ESG reporting is not only about what you tell the world about yourself, it's also about what the world says about you. And so there was a shift from the CSR beautiful report with pictures talking about achievements in the early days of sustainability reporting. And it's not just a marketing or positioning report that you can end your year with. ESG report is like something or someone coming into your house unannounced and looking through your things. 6 months after a company becomes public, ESG rating agencies can and will evaluate you. They will look at reports, news, publications, reviews. ESG will be crucial for this company to secure investments, fund, and ensure longevity in their operations and position in the market. So the question is no longer very basic, like, what are you doing in waste? Or what are you doing in water? It's actually, what are you doing? What have you done? What did you say you were going to do? What are your plans in the future? How do you plan to get there? Where is the money going? To whom is the money going? What environmental and social impacts did you have? What environmental and social impacts will you have? What legislation or framework are you following? To what extent are you following? And there are so many more questions. This challenge is not only limited to the UAE or the Middle East. It's actually a challenge that is directed more so globally to the landscape outside this region. And that's because they've been operating for way longer than the UAE. They have more questions directed at them as the effect of bad governance from their end and their past. We see the fruit of it today. In the UAE, we're lucky. We're still young, and we have to learn from both the bad and the good and the success of the rest. So, like I said, conversations and challenges were traditionally held behind closed doors with the highest governance. This is not a UAE limitation, but a reflection of the UAE's emphasis to make sure that there's trust within the community. We had 50 plus years of this kind of governance model, and the UAE has beyond flourished. And today we are actually living proof of that. Unfortunately, or however, the ESG landscape now demands greater transparency. So some stakeholders include investors, international partners, the financial market, increasingly valuing openness as a sign of accountability and long-term success. The biggest, most engaging stakeholder now or today is, who's the biggest stakeholder that we have to answer to? The answer is in the picture. Youth. So youth today are much more educated, much more vocal. They're out there, they're looking. And to me, for them, it's very important to be clear that transparency for the youth does not mean exposing vulnerability, but rather it signifies strength, leadership, and commitment to progress. This is exactly what they're looking for. And if we can give them that, they will be the most valuable stakeholder we will have. Lastly is opportunities. As the UAE kind of embraces this new global trend of more and more stakeholders looking into the UAE, they can actually build trust with these stakeholders, demonstrating that transparency can coexist with the nation's legacy of innovation and progress and strong governance. The UAE is uniquely positioned as a global hub for opportunity, particularly when it comes to sustainability. While geographically very small, or a dot on the map, as I always say, the UAE has established itself as a leader in the world stage by leveraging multicultural nationalities. So with over 200 nationalities in this coexisting in this country, the UAE embodies diversity, inclusion, collaboration, and is a perfect destination to foster and develop new ideas. The UAE creates global platforms, events like Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week, World Government Summit have all inspired and actually brought in visionaries from outside to discuss pressing global issues. One of the most recent ones was COP28. So this environment of opportunity ties directly with growing importance of ESG. ESG will serve as the bridge between action and impact, allowing organizations to track progress, highlight opportunities, and address areas of improvement. So if you're new to the UAE, welcome.